also to update as it relates to the lockdown with one purpose in mind: to save our people in our country, to ensure that this coronavirus indeed does not spread rapidly throughout our various villages, our towns and our cities. That's basically why we're here, to wage this war and fight against coronavirus. Without any further ado, I will call upon Minister of COGTA, Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, to come and speak to us. Thank you very much.
Okay. Ngiyabonga sanibonani nonke eSouth Africa. Njengoba sasishilo ukuthi njengoba isimo siqhubeka siya ngokushuba, nathi sifunda njengoba phela lesifo siyaqala ukufika la eSouth Africa. Sifunda imithetho ama regulations azoloku eshintsha. Amanye mhlawumbe azoxekiswa, amanye aqiniswa. Namhlanje ke sizokhuluma ngamanye awo. As we have said, that as the situation evolves, the regulations will keep changing. As some may be relaxed, some may be strengthened and become more stringent. And as it were, we have learned a few lessons from the past week of the shutdown. One of the things that we have realized is that spaza shops were supposed to be open, but for some reason, some were asked to close. So we're just clarifying that all spaza shops should be opened, including, now we've included informal food traders. So those who are trading in food informally, they are also allowed, but they must just get a permit from their councillor or from their municipality, and they are free to trade. The other issue that has been a problem, and we would like to really apologize to South Africans who have been affected, has been the issue of traveling from one province to the other for funerals. Because even though funerals are not a prohibited gathering if there are 50 people, we had not said anything in the regulations about how people should move to the funerals. But because there was a prohibition of movement between provinces, this then affected people who wanted to move from one province to the other for funerals. And so we have had to amend the regulations and make it clear that relatives of a deceased are allowed to attend. But because of the shutdown and because of COVID, it's not everyone who just feels like going to a funeral from one province to the other is allowed. Those who are allowed to move between provinces and districts would be close relatives, like the spouse or partner of the deceased, the children of the deceased, whether they are biological, adopted, that is stepchildren, or also if their guardian, a person who was their guardian, passes away. The children-in-law of the deceased, that's daughter and son-in-laws, parents of the deceased, whether they are biological, adopted, or stepchildren or guardians. Siblings, whether they are biological, adopted, step, or sister of the deceased, grandparents of the deceased, or persons closely affiliated with the deceased, because sometimes people get very close and even closer than biological relatives. So in that case, people are allowed to travel across the boundaries of the provinces. But that does not increase the number of people who should be at the funeral. The number of the people who should be at the funeral is still 50. And there is still no night vigils allowed. Night vigils are prohibited. And as we explained before, it's not to punish, it's not to limit, but it's because of the nature of this disease and how it spread. We've seen that this disease spreads very quickly, extensively, especially in church services. We've seen it in Korea, now we've seen it in Mangaung. And funerals are like church services. And night vigils are even worse. People get very close in a small area. So night vigils are still prohibited. Funerals are allowed, only 50 who attend the funeral. Now, we've been receiving many questions, so some I will just try and answer here as well. Some have asked us whether the undertakers are included in the 50. The answer is no, because normally undertakers bring the body and the family or whoever takes the body into the service, and they don't normally become part of the service. So they are not included. I've also received lots of questions from the rural areas where people dig their own graves, in terms of communities dig their own the graves. Whether the people who are outside digging the grave during the funeral service are also part of the 50. No, they are not part of the 50 because they are outside. They are just digging the grave. So I thought I should answer those questions. And also, so that's really about funerals. But how do you cross the boundary without the police stopping you and saying, no, you can't cross? You have to have a permit. And the permit you can get from the magistrate, you can get the head of the magistrate, who is the head of the office, or you can get it from a station commander or the most senior person at the station. And they will then give you a permit which you will show to the police as you cross the boundary and travel, because there are lots of roadblocks along the way. Now, as you know, there are lodges, hotels, and guest houses that have been quarantining people or are not allowed to bring in new people because of this. But it is clear that if you are going to a funeral, you can either stay with the relatives. But if you can't stay with the relatives, because sometimes there's no accommodation at the relative, you are allowed to go to a guest house or a lodge or a hotel. And of course, the rules apply. If they want to screen you, they'll screen you and then allow you in. But if it's a hotel or a lodge that has people who are being quarantined, it may not be possible. But I'm just clarifying that yes, you can stay in a hotel or lodge or guest house, depending on the condition of that guest house and lodge, if you cannot stay with relatives. And I see that the Minister of Home Affairs is not here, so he's coming. Okay, he'll clarify the questions, but I will just stress that people are allowed, the borders are closed except for goods, essential goods that are going to our neighboring countries, but also for medical emergencies across the border. The Minister of Home Affairs can grant that. But also, as we know, there are South Africans who, when the shutdown started, were outside our borders. And if they need to be repatriated, and permanent residents, they can be repatriated to come back into South Africa, but they have to be quarantined when they arrive here for 14 days. But there are also foreign nationals who have been living here, and then the shutdown has taken place, but also COVID-19 generally, who want to go back to their countries. And those will also be allowed to be repatriated to their own homes and to their countries. The Minister of Transport, is he here? No? Okay. On transport, but he will expand when the questions are asked. On transport, clearly there's been a challenge, especially around taxis, because the initial regulations said that taxis must be half full. So that became quite a big challenge from the taxis themselves. And now that has been relaxed to 70% full, and with the encouragement of masks, that people must wear masks. But it's now in the regulations for the taxis only, it's now 70%. There's also been, health has also asked that there should be amendments brought in, because there is a big challenge around tracing contacts. Some of the doctors or people who are supposed to fill in forms when people come to test do not fill the forms properly. They do not put the addresses, the correct ID numbers, the correct information generally. And sometimes they don't put the information except just the name and telephone number. So they've then asked that these should be done as in the regulations, that there should be the first name, the surname, the ID or passport number, residential address, or other addresses depending on where the person is located, a cell phone number. And also, they've requested that even when that is happening, sometimes people write wrong ID numbers and so on. So maybe there should be a copy or a photo of the ID where it shows the ID number in particular. And this is to make it easy for when somebody tests positive to be able to trace the contacts, because when somebody tests positive and they've been in contact with many people, some of them may either have contracted the COVID-19 or may be in danger of contracting it. So it's important that they are traced. in addition to that, and Minister Stella and Aveni will expand on this, but in addition to that, there is now a regulation that will allow the health department and tracers to say, Minister Dlamini Zuma has, if, I'm making an example, if she has tested positive, or anyone who has tested positive, and they want to trace everywhere where you've been, because sometimes even if you are asked, you may not remember everyone who was around you or who has been around you, or you may not know them. You may have gone to a supermarket and you were in the queue with someone, or you were standing next to somebody looking for something. So you may not be hiding the contacts, but you may just not know. If you were in a taxi, you may not know who was in the taxi with you, in the bus with you, and so on. So one of the measures that is being taken is that to trace the cell phone numbers of people who are around you. Because if we're all here and we have our cell phones open and we connect to the same mast, then they can check who was around you. It's not to spy on anyone, it's just to make sure that you may not know who the people who are around you are. One of the gadgets that almost everyone carries with them is a cell phone. Even when people go to whatever, they tend to carry their cell phone. So it's easy to trace through the cell phones wherever this person has been, and trace through the cell phones that were around that person. So that's one of the things that has been introduced in the regulation. And of course, the other issues have been cargo, because if you remember, the initial regulations were saying essential cargo, but now at the ports, it's all cargo, because if the essential cargo coming and there's non-essential cargo in front of it, the essential cargo may be delayed if the non-essential cargo is not attended to, so that the essential cargo can come through. So that's why now we've relaxed that to say cargo, so that the essential cargo is not held back by non-essential cargo that has not been processed. So those are some of the things that have been relaxed. Mhlawumbe nje kancane ngithi kakhulu lokwemncwabo ukuthi baningi abantu esithole ukuthi baphatheke kabi ngokuthi bebefuna ukuya emncwabeni ekwamanye ama-province, bathola ukuthi mabe cross amaphoyisa awabavumeli mabe travelisha ngoba bana permission, and umthetho vele ubusho njalo ukuthi abantu abahlala ezindlini kuphuma abantu abane permission kuphela, noma abantu abayothenga ukudla, noma abantu abayothenga imithi, noma bayakadokotela. Manje mawuzosuka eGauteng noma usuke eKZN uthi uye Western Cape uyothenga umuthi awukwazi, kanti mawuyongcwaba kungenzeka ukuthi unesihlobo esiseduze esilapho. So siyaxolisa kulabo abaphatheke kabi kule nsuku, kodwa ke sibese sibona ukuthi kuyinkinga. Sase sizama ukuthi umthetho sithi bavumelekile manje abantu ukuthi baye emncwabeni bebeveli bevumelekile, but inkinga bekukuthi bekukhona lo mthetho ukuthi abantu bangacross baye kwamanye ama-province. So sebeyavumeleka, kodwa kukhona indlela okufanele bayilandele. Uma kuyisihlobo sakho, noma umuntu oshade naye, noma upartner wakho, ingane, noma umakoti, umkhwenyana, noma abazali, noma odadewenu nabafowenu noma womkhulu nogogo noma abantu abasondelene kakhulu nalomuntu oshonile kodwa mhlambe bengewona umndeni wegazi. Masithi abazali ke sisho bonke abazali noma ngabe ingane yakho oyizalayo noma ingane owaye adopter noma i-step child ngesintu asikho i-step child kodwa ngesingisi-ke kuthiwa kune-step child nabo-ke noma mhlawumbe khona iy'ngane ezihlala nama-guardian nabantu abazibhekile kodwa babe bengebona abazali nabo lapho bayafakwa. Kodwa-ke bese behamba beya enkantolo noma e-police station bayofuna i-permit. Kulula-ke uma uphethe i-death certificate uhambe nayo uyofuna i-permit, ufike unikezwe i-permit yokuthi uma amaphoyisa ekumise endleleni kwi-roadblock ukwazi ukudlula, ubakhombisa i-permit yakho bakudlulise. Kodwa lokho akusho ukuthi imingcwabo seyizoba mkhulu. Imingcwabo isazoba abantu abama50 ayikadluli lapho. Futhi umlindelo ebusuku awukavunyelwa. Njengoba sasichazile ukuthi umngcwabo uyafana nenkonzo yesonto. Esibonile ukuthi inkonzo ziyakwazi ukuthi zenze lesifo sibhebhetheke kakhulu ngokusheshsha. So nomngcwabo uyafana nenkonzo. Yiko sithi ababe u50 mhlawumbe makhamba isikhathi mhlawumbe kokwehliswa kuye ngokuthi isifo siba ngcono siyakhuphuka mase singcono obviously kophinda kushintshwe kodwa kwamanje 50 akudluli lapho. Umlindelo awuvumelekile. Abantu abathwala isidumbu ama-undertaker basemochwari ababaliwe kulo 50. Abantu abamba ithuna ababaliwe kulo 50. Sithi asikuchaze ngoba imibuzo eminingi ebiloku siyithola leyo mayelana nalo 50. Uma kusuka kwelinye indawo ufike ikhona indawo yokulala la uyakhona ungalala. Mawufika ingekho uvumelekile ukuthi uyofuna indawo noma kusehotela noma kuse guest house noma kuse lodge kodwa nakhona uzofike bakuhambise ngendlela yakhona ngoba ezinye indawo mhlambe zingakuthathi ngoba zithathela abantu abakwarantinwayo noma zikuthatha mhlambe zifuna uqale zikuscreene kodwa ke uvumelekile ukuthi mayingekho indawo yokulala la uyakhona emizini la uyakhona ukwazi ukuyolala kulezo ndawo. Ngathi ikakhulu lokho nokuthi ke abantu base South Africa bangaphandle abazithole sebevalelekile bazovunyelwa ukubuya kodwa baya quarantine uma befika. Kwezokuthutha amatekisi ikakhulu seyekuthiwe manje kunokuthi abe wafu awabe 70 kwase ekhulwini kusho ukuthi uma ngabe itekisi ithatha 10 ngiyalinganisa ingabathatha abantu 10 ingabathatha abantu abayisikhombisa kodwa kufuneka noko ke kube khona amamasi. Then bese ngichaza nje lo wokugcina kodwa oza kwethu bona bazonaba kakhulu kuzo zonke lezi zinto. Ukuthi njengoba umuntu mangabe negciwane tholakala ukuthi unalo legciwane le-COVID-19 fanele kutholakala ukuthi obani abantu aseke wathintana nabo ukuze nabo baqoqwe bathestwe bahlalise endaweni eseceleni ukuthi bavikeleke ukuthi mangabe igciwane nabo seliyabaphatha sebekhombisa impawu bathathwe bayiswe la bezosizakala khona bathestwe basizakale. Manje kutholakala ukuthi laba okufanele bagcwalise imininingwane yabantu abazotesta abagcwalisi ngendlela bese kubanzima ukuthi uthole ukuthi lo muntu umthole kwayena lo muntu obezotesta ngoba mhlambe ikheli lakhe la ihlala khona likho le ID yakhe ayikho into eziningi nje okufanele ngabe zikhona azikho so sekufakwe la emthethweni ukuthi umuntu mayezotestwa kufanele nakanjani athathwe igama nesibongo athathwe inamba yepasi noma yepassport mangabe unepassport athathwe ikheli lalapha ehlala khona noma kusemzini wakhe noma kukubo noma mhlambe akayena wala uhlala ehotela kodwa lelo kheli liyafuneka bese ke nenamba yakhe yocingo itholakala bese ngoba ke abanye mhlambe kwesikhathi bathi mabekopisha bangakopishi kahle mhlambe isithombe passport la kunenamba khona nesithombe se ID kwenziwe icopy noma ithathwe isithombe konke lokhu kwenzela ukuthi kuvikelwe thina mphakathi kulesifo ukuthi lesifo singasakazeki sizama ukusiqoqa okugcina ke abazonaba futhi kakhulu ozakwethu okokuthi ukuze abantu batholakale ngoba abantu abatholakali enye imizamo yokuthola abantu abebeseduze komuntu osetholakala ukuthi unalo leli gciwane ngoba sonke iningi lethu sihamba nama cellphone sonke sihamba nabo labo makhalekhukhwini kusho ukuthi uma ngimi la ngiphethe umakhalekhukhwini inkampani uzochaza uminister lapha zizokwazi ukubona ukuthi abanye abantu ababemi la eduze kwami njengalabo minister laba noma makhalekhukhwini babo kwakobani bazokwazi ukuzibona izinamba zama cellphone ebeziseduze leyo mfowethu ngapha bazokwazi ukuyibona cha ibiseduze mhlambe nale yalo sisi bazoyibona ukuthi ibiseduze bazozibona ukuze ke baniphephise bese beyaza kunini ukuthi hey ukhona umuntu obeseduze kwenu mhlamba nazi nokwazi la at least mhlambe siyazi mhlamba wazi mhlamba ubusesitolo uthenga mhlamba ubusebhange mhlamba ukwenye nje indawo kodwa ungazi wena ungabazi nalabantu mhlamba usetaxini awubazi labantu obugibele nabo kodwa baphethe omakhalekhukhwini inkampani zizokwazi ukusho cha nampa abantu ade bephethe labo omakhalekhukhwini ngithi angibongeke ngisho ukuthi asonke le shutdown asi observe ngoba iphephisa thina yabo so uminister wamaphoyisa uthi mase ngikhuluma isiZulu angikhulumanga ngezipaza shop uqinisile ngikhohliwe izipaza shop zonke zivunyelwe ukuthi zivule sithengise asikho isipaza shop esingavunyelwe ukuvula bese kuthi laba abathengisayo ukudla noma kuhlaza abathengisa omama abantu abancane esesibabone bethengisa otamatisi nani abayithengisa edliwayo nombila futhi mawosi umnandi kabi bonke labo bavunyelwe manje ukuthengisa ngoba babengazange bafakwe listini sebefakiwe manje kodwa kucelwa nje ukuthi bathole angithi mangabe beyothenga fanele basuke bahambe bayothenga la kuthengiswa khona umbila babuye bazowuthengisa manje nabo kufuneka babe nepermit ngoba mabengenayo ipermit ezikadalawane zizobamisa so kufanele baye kukhansela noma kumeya noma kubani bayocela ukuthi babenzele ipermit ukuthi bakwazi ukuhamba bayostocka bathenga izinto abazidingayo babuye bazothengisa yabo
Sibonge kakhulu ngqongqoshe. Sesizawubiza ke ungqongqoshe ozothi futhi ukunaba kuloko kukhulumile ungqongqoshe uStella Ndabeni Abrams. Sistella ungangena kahle. Oh okay. Sibonge kakhulu kubalalele emakhaya.
Thank you, Minister Mthembu. And colleagues, good afternoon. It's evening actually. We've been locked up. We've even lost trace of time. To my colleagues that side, to the fellow South Africans that are watching us, I'm just here to expand on what Minister Dlamini Zuma spoke about in relation to contact tracing. And I want to say it up front that I know most people have been concerned that we can see now government wants to spy on us, and this is not spying on anyone. Just to provide clarity and context, as we all know that we are under a situation whereby we've declared a disaster management state, and on top of that, we're in a lockdown. We are in a lockdown because of a virus that is spreading minute by minute. It is in our interest, not only as government, but also as South Africans, to make sure that we can minimize the spread of the virus. And therefore, that means we all have a responsibility to look at any environment that can enable us to minimize the spread of the virus. And amongst those is that we refer to as contact tracing. And when we say we're gonna use cell phone numbers, it doesn't mean we take anybody's number. Let me provide clarity there. As the minister explained, those that go and test and they are found to be positive as they fill in their information, it is them, those that have tested positive, that the Department of Health will then seek permission from the ECNS licenses to say, we have these people that have tested positive. Can you therefore give us access to the geolocation? The reason it's done by the Department of Health is because it is them that will be keeping the database of the people who have tested. So I just want to provide that clarity, and we do respect the fact that everyone has a right to privacy, but in a situation like this, our individual rights do not supersede the country's rights, whereby we're saying the most important and critical right that we're all working towards is ensuring safety for South Africans so that the spread does not continue. As I pause on that, because I know most of you will be jumping on that, the second one that we have looked at also, again, after the gazetting of the regulations, one of the key things that were raised was on the issue of the entire value chain in the telecommunications sector. We've had questions where people are asking us about data centers. Those that are in the industry and those that take interest in reading the Electronic Communications Act, they will understand that where we mention the electronic communication facilities, data centers, batteries, warehousing, everything that's in the value chain is covered in that. But of course, we cannot, in a situation like this, say all retail shops must be open. The intention of locking down everyone is to minimize that up and down movement. Therefore, if we open all the retail shops, it's going to tell you that we are facing a challenge of opening ourselves up to more infections. And in order to reduce this, we then said the operators will have to make sure that they provide an online platform for the people who want to access their services. And the operators themselves are urged to then deliver, which is why you see that the courier services are part of the essential services. We cannot allow people to come to the malls because they want to buy cell phones, as much as we understand that they are all critical, because people must have access to the information, people must have access in terms of downloading their apps in relation to COVID, but at the center of that is to minimize the number of people that must be coming in and out of the malls. So we urge everyone that will be looking to buy the hardware in terms of the infrastructure that we're talking about, to make sure that they go, there's numbers that are availed by the operators where you customer service. So you just dial the number, it's free on your phone, you ask for customer service, you tell them what you want to buy online if you don't have access to internet. Those are the issues that we felt like it's important that we really need to address. If I were to go back to the first point, that I made. Let's take contact tracing. I want to emphasize this. Akuzumanyelwa zindaba zabantu. We're not intercepting calls, even for the person that would have tested positive. As uMinister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma echazile okwethu ukuthi kunoStella Ndabeni oteste positive apha. Senza kanjani ukukhusela abasecaloni koStella? Siyazi uba ngobani so that ngelixesha bengaziboni into babaneempawu zokuba bateste positive. Siyazi into ba nansi imininingwane mabahambe bayoscreenwa ngoba sabe sikwazi ukuyibona through the geolocation. Kungabikho bantu ke bantu basekhaya endibathandayo abazawuthi urhulumente ufuna ukumamela ayinanto yokwenza necall. Ne-operators ziyayazi uba zingabanjwa uba zizawuintercept ngoba umthetho we-interception uyachazwa uba kulandelwa iphi process. Lena yenzelwa ukulandela intsholongwane okanye abantu abanentsholongwane nabo bangabe kanti baye basondela kulo mntu unentsholongwane. Ndizawuma apho, Minister. Ndiyabulela.
Siyabonga kakhulu. Sibonga kakhulu kuMinister uStella Ndabeni Abrams. Siyachubeka ke manje sibiza uMinister wezezindlu namanzi ne-sanitation ukuthi azokhuluma nathi. Minister Lindi Sisulu. Siyabulela Minister.
Ngiyabonga Minister. I-sanitation ngesizulu ngezanga sese. Mine is to indicate to you that we have taken a decision, we've codified it in law. It has been signed on by the Minister of Local Government, who is responsible for the national disaster that we have proclaimed. This is to indicate to you that we have centralized the direction of water, the procurement of all those things that provide you with water and giving indication of where water is available, etc. As you know, we have in this country various boards that are responsible for various responsibilities. Our municipalities are called water boards, which means that they have the right to have water and they take water from bulk supply, which I provide, and they take that bulk supply into your taps. We also have irrigation boards. These are largely people who own farms and have irrigation schemes, and these fall under a particular board that directs where the water may go. We also have a number of other areas where we have our water, and what we have done now is to take all of that water and put it under the control of one central command, which is called the command center. This command center is situated at the Rand Water in Johannesburg, and that is where all the directions, where all the commands around where water is concerned will be coming from. At the end of this, I will give you the number, which I keep repeating, of where you will call to be able to get water. The command center ensures that all the water tanks that we have procured are taken to the place that has been identified as in need. The municipalities will be responsible for identifying the places where the water tanks will be placed, but the water tanks will be provided centrally. All water tankers will be reporting on a regular basis to the command center, which is situated in Johannesburg. Should anybody experience a shortage of water, this is the place where we will be able to direct our tankers to. This is also the place that will direct those people who own irrigation schemes in our farming community to direct some of their water to where there is a need for water. So in short, we are now taking over most of the work that belongs to the boards that we've given rights to look after water. We have centralized it. We will also centralize procurement of all of those areas that we are dealing with. Insofar as water irrigation schemes are concerned, and irrigation boards are concerned, and associations and catchment areas, they will be directed also by the National Command Center, and we shall keep a costing of the quantities of the water that we take from them, and they will claim for that water from the department, and the department will pay for those costs. In short, we are now saying we are centrally controlled. All the water in South Africa will be directed by us to where it is needed most. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister Sisulu. Again, continuing to clarify our regulations, continuing to ensure that our people have got all the amenities and services that they need to fight this coronavirus. I now call upon Minister Patel to tell us how we are strengthening our regulations in the trade and industry space. Mr. Patel.
Thank you very much, colleague. And now that we've had 7 days of lockdown, we've strengthened it in the regulations in a few areas. We're still reviewing the regulations. And the areas that we can cover today in the briefing relates first to the issue of cargo, which Minister Dlamini Zuma covered. The regulations have been amended to enable all cargo now to come into the country and to be offloaded from ships. It applies to essential goods and other goods, subject to sanitizing or disinfecting cargo where these are necessary. And it will allow our ports not to be clogged up so that the essential goods can in fact reach South Africans. We've also, with the Minister of Transport, clarified the procedure for air cargo. The planes bringing cargo to South Africa would be able to land, and the crew will be allowed to disembark. They will then go immediately from there to dedicated hotels that have been indicated in or near the airport, and they will be in lockdown in their rooms until they return back to the planes for the flight back. And the air freight companies have strongly welcomed this clarification, and it allows us now to ensure that freight cargo comes into South Africa. Third, in respect of call centers, the call centers that provide services for international clients, there are a number of them that operate in South Africa, and the regulations clarify that they may provide essential services in respect of healthcare, social services, government services, and financial services, but it's subject to social distancing rules that will be determined by the Ministries of Health and of Trade, Industry and Competition, and we're finalizing those right now. Given the taxing operating hours, supermarkets have been required to adjust their opening hours, and most of the large shops now are opening at 7 a.m. In the last few days, of course, with the payments to South African SASSA beneficiaries. The stores have tried to work hard to ensure that they maintain social distance in the stores, and at the same time that they're able to service a number of the customers that have come to buy basic goods. So those constitute the immediate changes that have been made to the regulations, and we are now reviewing the areas around exemptions to ensure that the previous regulations are implemented appropriately. There are also actions being taken around the regulations dealing with increases in prices, and hundreds of complaints have now been lodged with the Competition Commission and the National Consumer Commission, and within a very short period of time we will see the first cases coming up at the tribunals, where the two commissions will be laying the evidence that they've gained and they've been able to collect from complaints that the public have raised. This will then be presented to the tribunals, and we anticipate that decisions will be made quite quickly against companies, firms or individuals that are profiteering in this period. So that covers the key changes to regulations and the implementation of regulations. Thank you.
Sibonge, that clarity on what as Minister Aaron Solid. Again, we are doing all this in our fight as a nation against this deadly disease, coronavirus. Minister Solid.
Thank you very much. The changes that occurred in Home Affairs in these regulations are only two indeed, because as you know, all the borders to the Republic have been closed except for essential goods. Now the changes here is that we will allow fuel, cargo and goods during this period of lockdown. In other words, it's no longer just essential goods, but we will allow goods, as Minister Dlamini Zuma has said, and even motivated why that is so. The second change is that you know that the borders have been closed for people, but now the amendment is that the Minister of Home Affairs or a person designated by him or her may allow a person to enter or exit the Republic for emergency medical attention for a life-threatening condition. This one has been there, but the addition is that, or for a South African or a foreign national to be repatriated to their country or nationality or permanent residence, meaning the minister or anybody designating who has been designated so by the Minister of Home Affairs may now allow a person to be repatriated to their country, meaning South Africans who are in other countries can come through our borders provided they ask for permission, or people from other countries who want to go through the border may now be allowed. Go bile diphetogo tše pedi. Melelwane e sa tswaletše fela re a go dumella dithuto gore di fete gore kgwebo e tšwele pele. Sa bobedi ke gore mola melelwane e tswaletšwe go a dumellega gore ge motho a nyaka go boela ga gabo goba mo Afrika Borwa a le nageng ye nngwe a nyaka go boa ka mono Afrika Borwa, ge a ka kgopela tumello go letona la Home Affairs goba go motho yo a kgopetšweng ke letona leo a mo fileng maatla gore a ka fa tumello a mohuto gona o ka kgopela ba tla go dumella go tshela mo melelwaneng, go ra gore ga go ye go tshela mang le mang o swantse o re o kgopele pele gomme o fuwe tumello ya gore o nyaka go boela ga geno goba o nyaka go boa ka mono gae Afrika Borwa. Ene le gopoleng gore ba boang ka mono gae Afrika Borwa ge ba fihla ka ntle ga go testiwa ba tlo gopelwa gore ba ye mafelong ao a bitswang di-quarantine site mo ba yang go tswallela gona matšatši a 14 gore re bone gore ga ba ne bolwetši jo. Ke a leboga.
Le rona re a leboga Morena. We now call upon the Minister of Justice and Correctional Services to come and also elaborate what changes are there as they relate to the space that he's operating in. Minister Lamula.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Minister, and to the colleagues and members of the media. I think the first one is to state that I see from various social media platforms that the government is flip-flopping on the regulations from time to time, or inconsistent and so forth. I think we must state from the outset that the regulations will be amended, will be reviewed from time to time to deal with issues that arise as and when we move on during this period, because some of the things that might happen we may not have been aware of, and we'll have to strengthen or sometimes relax the regulations, and that is what is happening as we speak. And hence today there has been further clarifications and amendments to the regulations. One of the unintended consequences was the one of informal traders and spaza shops, which you will have seen that in some of the malls and the shopping centers, people have flocked there even to buy bread or to buy tomato, which could have been offered close to where they stay. So as we move on, we have to strengthen and ensure that we make the regulations to be effective. I'll only speak on one aspect which relates to you will have heard all the ministers from Minister Dlamini Zuma to Minister Ndabeni Abrahams. They are relating to the concerns that the public might have about being spied to by these regulations, and they've all said and assured the nation that this is not spying. So who will ensure that the information is used only for the purpose of COVID-19 as per the regulation by the Director General of the Department of Health, and that there's going to be a weekly report from the Director General of the Department of Health to that designated judge, who is going to ensure that the information as it is provided and as how Minister Ndabeni Abrahams has explained is used specifically as per what the regulations provide the information should be used for. And we intend to appoint the designated judge as soon as possible. Ndela ku vula ku leswi swi inga swi vona eka tindhawu ta ku hambanahambana ta ti-social media leswi kombaka ku government ile ku jikajikeni hi mhaka leyi ya milawu leyi humesaka eka minkarhi ya ku tala. Milawu leyi yi ta cinca, yi ta tiyisiwa, yi ta tlhela eka minkarhi yin'wani yi hundziseriwa emahlweni. Leswi swi endleriwa ku hi dyondza from swilo swa ku tala leswi swi nga humelela eka minkarhi loyi since hi fake milawu leyi. Ekuveni hi kota ekuveni milawu leyi yi tiyisisa, yi tlhela yi endla ku vanhu va kota ekuveni va endla loko va lava ku endla swona. Swin'wana leswi nga endleka hi milawu leyi a ku ri kuveni lava va xavisaka etindhawini ta le makaya ti-spaza shop a va nga koti ku xavisa sweswo, swi endle ku vanhu va ya etimall ni le madorobeni ku va ya xava xinkwa ni matamatisi leswi swi nga mhaka leyitsongo swi nga xavekaka lava nga kona, ene sweswo a swi endla ku tala ngopfu etindhawini ta ti-mall ni ti-shopping centers. So hi swona swi nga endla ku hi fanele hi cinca nawu lowu ku veni hi kota ku vanhu va kote ku veni va xava lava nga kona, ni ku veni hi vula ku tanihileswi tiministeri tin'wana ti nga vula ntirho wa ku veni nawu lowu wa ku veni ku va na contact tracing hi ta yi tiyisekisa hi ku veni hi appointa a retired judge loyi a nga ta va security kumbe munhu loyi a nga gada ku information leyi nga ta kumeka yi tirhisiwa ntsena for swilo leswi fanelelanaka na COVID-19. You can see le Baba Mthembu.
Nathi siyabonga lamuhla. You can see le. We now call upon again in the same vein of all of us waging a war against this deadly virus called coronavirus. That's why we're improving these regulations, but we are also a listening government, by the way, where our people say, can you tweak this regulation so that it is able to still achieve the same objective but not be a menace to our people? We are a listening government. We listen to our people. Having said that, I call upon the Minister of Police, Begitela.
No, thanks, Mthembu, to the colleagues. I also wish that I will come, announce, and sit down. Now, the problem, I need to look after everything that they've said that it does happen. So there where my pain comes from. But it's a pain that I don't mind to live with it. It has been explained, maybe starting with Minister Dlamini Zuma. It has been a painful experience for all of us, these funeral matters. We are glad that they are relaxed and explained, especially between provinces has been a main problem, especially between Western Cape and Eastern Cape and the station called Aberdeen. One has been dealing with a lot of problems, and Aliwal North has been dealing with a lot of problems. As Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma explained, 50 hasn't changed. So when people request the permission to move to attend the funeral, they'll have to understand that they might not reach the funeral when the number 50 has been made there. So it's important to understand and keep link how many other people are going there. That shall not be allowed, that people are more than 20, no, more than 50. That's one. Two, maybe it's important to say, we'll make a call that people, they listen to these new regulations and they stick with them, so that we are not forced to enforce the law. Maybe one can say since the 27th until the 31st, or until midnight, 2,289 people have been arrested for breaking these regulations. We hope that we would not have arrested those people because the laws are not broken, especially alcohol, traffic, and other offenses against these regulations. It's a call to say, let's all stick with them, let's respect them, so that we don't reach this level where people get arrested. Our forces are still out there. We've got 24,389 of the police, together with the South African National Defence Force, the metros. That's the number that is on circulation as we speak at the present moment. There is just one point I want to make on this one. These regulations, as assigned by Minister Dlamini Zuma, are national regulations. There are no provincial regulations. There are no Masipala regulations. So what is done in Limpopo is expected to be done in Western Cape. So they shouldn't come with theirs. You hear that some provinces will relax some and differ from other provinces. They shouldn't complain because the police won't implement the provincial so-called regulations. They will stick with the national regulations. So they shouldn't make noise when the police pounce. I understand that there are provinces that are beginning to come with their own. Please don't do it, provinces. Stick with what is there signed by the national minister. There's nothing wrong if you feel you need a change to make your presentation. Then those things are discussed there and they are changed there. But they cannot be changed piecemeal by the provinces. Kuzobaluleka ukuthi wonke ama-province azi ukuthi izwe lilodwa. Awekho amazwe ayixokogwana la. Umthetho usayinwa uminister wakakhokta ezweni lonke usebenze izwe lonke. Kuyezwakala ukuthi kunama-province aseqala into zawo ukuthi bona bazoxegisa lo mthetho uhluke kunalowa. Sifuna ukuqinisekisa ukuthi ayikho into enjengaleyo. Uma kutholakala ukuthi amaphoyisa akubona uhlukile kwenye indawo azokugcizelela akubophe ungakhali ngoba wena uzobe wakho umthetho landela owezwe umthetho osayinwa ungqongqoshe oyedwa le komkhulu ePitoli. Siyathemba ke siyacela futhi ukuthi nigcine kanjalo leyo mthetho. Yonke ke lemithetho ebeyishiwo namhlanje la sizoyibheka ukuthi yanakekelwa iyenziwa sibambisane ukuthi ningasiniki ithuba samaphoyisa siyathanda ukuthi singaniki ithuba lokunibopha kodwa manje sinike ithuba lokunibopha nathi ngeke siliyeke ithuba lokuthi makukhona imithetho eniyiphulayo asinayo inkinga yokunganibophi asinayo futhi yokubopha uma ukuthi nidale ukuthi kufanele ukuthi sibophe abantu ababoshiwe njengamanje bahenkulungwane ezimbili namashumi amabili nesishaka namashumi amabili bayinkulungwane ezimbili namakhulu amabili namashumi ayisishagalombili nantathu. So ileyo kunamba esithemba ukuthi ayizoqhubeka leyo namba izokwehla noma izoma. Sikhulume ke ikakhulu thina bomthetho ukuthi siyabonga ukuthi icacisiwe le ama-spaza shop sibonga kakhulu. Ama-spaza shop ukuthi ayasebenza wonke amaphoyisa azokukhumbula lokho siyayithumela ngqongqoshe Dlamini Zuma lamthetho ucommissioner sesikhulumelo ukuthi soyithumela emaphoyiseni ikwazi ukuthi akwazi ukuyibona ayifunde asebenze ngayo. Ngicizelele esiceleni osicelile ukuthi uma beyocela ukuhamba belandela imncwabo baphatha into zakhona njengencwadi certificate ukukhombisa ukuthi ubani ushonile nale ncwadi efungelwe kuthiwa i-affidavit mhlambe makunenkinga. Uma becela estation bacela esikhulwini esikhona bacela kuma station noma ubani obambela uma station ngaleso sikhathi bangafici nje noma yiliphi iphoyisa elincane balifice bese becela kulona ayizuvumeleka leyo. Kufana noma beyinkantolo bacela emanjini noma bacela noma ubani othunyelwe imanje ukuthi bakwenze kwenzela ukuthi zikwazi lezo incwadi. Okunye singacela ukuthi mhlambe bagcizelele ukuthi bacabanga ukuthi bazobuya nini kwenzela ukuthi amaphoyisa abadedele ngalelo langa ebuya kube izinto zonke lezo abayicelayo. Okwamanje siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi sisabamisene kodwa ekubambiseneni kwethu kuzofanele ukuthi umthetho siugcine. Siyamemeza siyacela ukuthi sibambisane siugcine umthetho ngoba nathi sisebenza ukuvikela. Uma kodwa ugcinekile asizuba nayo inkinga. Siyabonga kakhulu.
sibonge nathi kakhulu kuwo wonke amalunga wecabinet esewakhulumile lana. Sigqizelele futhi ukuthi konke lokhu sikwenza ngoba sisempini sonke singabantu baseNingizimu Afrika ukulwisana nale gciwane elila ekhaya i-coronavirus. Sesizawuthatha ke imibuzo njengoba sishilo ukuthi na le press conference lena i-press conference ewuhlobo esingakaze sibe nalo lapho onke ama-journalist abathatha indaba bengekho la bazosifonela. So sesizawubaqela ke manje ukuthi yena owokuqala ke ofuna ukubuza umbuzo akaqale ke manje asive. Ukhona oqala ofuna ukubuza umbuzo? Ubongani uvela kuyiphi newspaper or radio or eyewitness? Thank you very much. You can continue, Ubongani, ask your question. Thank you very much. Next caller. Call center. Ngubani also owes the next caller. Thank you, Ashik. Can you go ahead and ask your question? You are saying you're from which newspaper or radio? Oh, okay. Thank you very much. You can go ahead and ask your question. Thank you very much. The next caller. So we have these two now. Okay. For now, we have these two. We will get others. Who's going to respond to the first caller? Oh, on our WhatsApp system again, we do have some callers.
Yeah, thank you, Minister. We actually have a lot of questions from WhatsApp. The first question is from Yan from Pretoria News, and his question is directed to the Minister of COGTA and DTI, and is asking whether the sale of cigarettes is now allowed, as claimed by the Western Cape Provincial Government. The second question is from Jolene van Wyk from Media 24, also directed to the Minister of COGTA and DTI. And she says that in the regulations gazetted today, there is no specific mention of the transport of essential goods across provinces. So she's asking, can essential goods be moved between provinces, metros and districts, although it's not stipulated in the regulations? So Fumukwena asked the question directed to the Minister of Transport, who's not here. I don't know if I should continue asking that question. Okay. She's asking she's stating that the Minister of Health announced that they will ask China and Cuba to help. Do we have any reaction from those two countries? And how is South Africa monitoring the airspace after a chartered plane landed at OR Tambo International Airport from Zimbabwe without authorization? Then there's a question from Tabo from ETV News, also directed to the Minister of COGTA. are guest houses and lodges not on lockdown during this period? Then there's
That's
another.
your last one.
Ooh, okay. Then there is another question, the fifth one from Matthew from Times Live, who's asking the Minister of COGTA, have there been any discussions around the possibility of extending the lockdown beyond 21 days? If this were to happen, what is the process that needs to be followed in that regard?
Thank you very much. We will come back to you because I see that we have got many WhatsApp questions there from journalists throughout the country. Who will start, colleagues? Minister Dlamini Zuma, I want to start.
Okay, thank you. The question about whether I'm not worried about relaxing the rules for people who are going to the funerals and whether we won't clash with Minister of Health. Normally, these regulations are looked at collectively. They are not personal regulations. I signed them because they are under a law that is administered by the Minister of COGTA, the Disaster Management Act. But they are not mine per se. So we are worried. But you remember that the lockdown came and it came just before a weekend and people needed to go and bury their relatives. It's still a norm in South Africa that close relatives go to a funeral. Maybe with time that will diminish, but for now it is. But as we say, depending on how this evolves, that may also change. So nothing is cast in stone because the epidemic and the pandemic that the world is facing is not static. So nothing will be static. Things will move. If we need to restrict again, we will. If we need to relax, we will. So, but it's collective. Somebody asked, how would somebody move from Joburg to somewhere if for a one-day funeral, same-day funeral? The government does not determine how you get to a funeral at all. It's not our responsibility to determine that. How do you get from point A to point B? What we were doing with these regulations is just to allow people who want to move from point A to point B to do so. But it's not our responsibility to say, you will move with this, by that. No, that's a personal responsibility for the person who wants to move, how they move. Transporting goods. Goods have been always allowed, especially essential goods, to travel across provinces. Truck drivers, even in the first regulations, were allowed to travel across provinces because a lot of goods come from either the farms or the ports, and they have to be then transported to their destination, even within the country, but also across the borders. So those goods were, truck drivers have always been allowed, but it's us who are not allowed because we are supposed to be locked down, sitting at home, except those who are performing essential services. Guest houses, yes, they are, but you remember that some guest houses are actually having people in them. Some will have people who will be quarantined in them. So this is a special dispensation for someone who may be attending a funeral if there is a guest house that is available there. And that's why I say it will depend if it's available, they will screen, they may refuse you. So it's up to the guest house according to its own situation. But yes, because people are supposed to be locked down, not moving from place to place, there is no need for houses to be open. But some are there, they are quarantining other people. Some had people during the lockdown, so those people are locked down there. Extending the lockdown, it's still too early to allow, to say whether it will be extended or not. We've only had a week today.
7 days.
7 days. Even that 7 days, if you look at it properly, this week has been the grant payments. So there's been a lot of movement, people going to receive their grants. So it's too early to assess. We will make proper assessment of what has happened. There's research being done, and at the right time, government will make that assessment and then make a determination whether it's extended or not. So for now, it's too early. We don't have all the facts. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And maybe, let me just say, goods that are not in the regulations for now are not in the regulations as essential goods. As you know, at first, some of the goods were left out, like baby things, they were added. If they are not there, it means they are not allowed. Until they are in the regulations, they are not allowed. So whatever the goods are that are not in the regulation, for now, it means they are not allowed.
Minister Sisulu, any? No response, thank you. No question for you, no question for water. Minister Lamola, in fact, come this side because it's difficult for those colleagues. Can you catch him? You can't. Come this side, well.
Yeah, no, it's a very short answer, so I thought I could do it from there. I could hear from the journalist who asked about the movement of goods, saying that because it is not in this regulation, therefore it is not catered for. Yeah, I will only answer this one, which I've heard from the journalist who was saying that because it is not in these regulations, therefore it is not catered for. These regulations must be read with the ones that were published earlier, because this is just an amendment. So there's still a lot of information in the regulations that were published, I think it's last week. Here, if it is not specifically mentioned as being amended, it means it is not amended by this regulation. So that's why when you read them, you will see substitute 11B with this and that. It is substituting from those regulations. I know it might be a bit confusing, but that is the fact is that as you go through it, it is still in the main regulation is the one that we published last week. This is just to clarify, to amend, and to strengthen, as I've said earlier on. Ngasho ukuthi loku okula ukuchange loku sukupublish ngeliviki elidlulile. Namhlanje into esiyenza nje siya add siphinde sicizelele ukuthi loku bathi siyacibiyela. Yeah, so la ngilokhu sikwendako kulama regulation wamanje, hayi ukuthi lawa siwapublish kuleli viki lelidlulile sesikukhipile, kodwa lokhu singakakumention kula kusho ukuthi akuamendwanga kusase njengoba bekunjalo kuleli viki lelidlulile. Ngiyabonga.
Ministers, anyone who wants to respond to anything? Nothing. Okay, thank you very much. It's you. Oh, Bob, go ahead.
No, kunombuto la ubutiwe maqondana nama-cigarette ukuthi ayadayisa Western Cape. Maybe let me specific this time to say there is no province that has got a special dispensation out of the regulations that have been signed by the national minister. She has just explained that if those things don't appear, which means they're not there. So we'll urge the business in Western Cape not to listen people that tell them wrong things. If it is not on the national regulations, is not allowed to happen. So the South African police, who are custodians of the laws and the national laws, will have to enforce the national law. If that is discussed, as some people have raised it, let it be discussed and we find answer out of it. But for now, cigarettes are not sold. Cigarettes, it doesn't matter where you are. Just want to make that point. That includes Western Cape.
Thank you very much, Minister. Again, let's take those who are calling in for questions. Again, no preamble, just get to the question. Do we have a caller? Hello, sir. The platform is yours. You can pose your question. Hello? Oh, sorry. I thought it was a gentleman. You have to say lady. My apologies. Continue. Maybe let me repeat your question. You are saying we are allowing people to come from wherever they are into the country. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, I'm trying to understand the change in regulation that the minister has just said. Is it, are we allowing people out of the South African borders, and is it
Okay, fine. We hear you now. Next caller. Okay, Marisa, you have the platform.
My question is to the Zuma, and it's relating to visiting funerals in different cities and provinces.
Just a minute, Marisa. Can you move your mouth away from the mic? We can't hear you. We have not heard a single word you have said. If you can social distance yourself from the mic, that will be helpful to all of us so that we are able to hear you. Start again with the first question.
My question is related to visiting funerals in other cities and provinces. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but still you can do a little bit of social distancing again, but we can hear you.
Okay. So when visiting different provinces and cities for funerals, how will the government know that those funerals are actually taking place, especially with the death certificates being delayed at the moment and taking longer than usual?
Okay. So if a person doesn't have the birth certificate, how will then that person be able to get to the funeral? That is your question, because the the death certificate has been delayed. But how do you have a funeral when there is no death certificate?
The people visiting the funeral, how will they have proof if they have to visit a different city or a different province that the funeral is taking place? So they need to take leave and they need to have permission from the police. So obviously they have to give permission to the police or proof to the police that the funeral is happening.
Okay, thank you. We will try to answer your question, but I ask you another question, but I'll leave it to my colleagues. There is a third question. Who's the third caller? Hello, John? John, we are listening to you. Thank you. Do we have a few questions from yourself, the WhatsApp group?
Yes, I do. Minister, I have a few. Tabo from ETV News is asking the Minister of Culture, is there no foreseeable danger in government trying to satisfy all the citizens by relaxing some of the restrictions on the lockdown? The next question is from Lee Zega from News 24. Directed to the Minister of Police, and the question is: there has been some police visibility in townships, but we have not seen police presence in suburbs, in major roads in Johannesburg, and even on the highways. There is no police presence, but because it's business as usual. Is this because you have seen people in suburbs adherence to the rules, or is this because of a lack of capacity? Genevieve Quintal from Business Day is asking the Minister of Culture, which is related to the first question. We are seeing more and more regulations being relaxed. Does this not defeat the objective of the lockdown? And yeah, that's basically the question. Then there's a question is again from Lizeka, directed to the Minister of Police. She's asking to the Minister, you have always been known for your tough talk, which motivates police into action. Do you not feel that this heavy-handed speak is the reason why we have seen assaults in communities? Is there any message you would like to send to the police who are heavy-handed in their approach during this lockdown? My last question, or my second last question, is from, I can't pronounce the name, from Brazil, directed to the Minister of Police. He's asking how many people that were arrested during the for breaking the lockdown rules in the whole country, and how to report someone who is creating or spreading fake news about coronavirus. The last question is from Lizega to the Minister of Police.
Just let's hold it. Lizega has now asked 2 questions. We will see Lizega later.
Okay.
Colleagues, let's then start. Who wants to start? Minister Laminiso.
Thank you. Let me just say that Home Affairs is open for 3 issues. One of them is issuing death certificates. And you can't even begin to arrange for a funeral if you don't have a death certificate. So that's the first thing, you have to get that certificate so that you can make all the arrangements. obviously, if somebody has died in Durban and the child is in Gauteng, they will send them a copy of the death certificate, because as soon as they are able to start arranging the funerals, it means they have the death certificate. But if there is a problem, Home Affairs Minister is here. He will make sure that death certificates are issued timeously. So that would be my answer. Yes, I think citizens are right that we shouldn't try to satisfy every citizen. You are right, and we are definitely not going to try and satisfy every citizen. And we are not going to be relaxing every day the regulations. But this was just an issue because people had not that they cannot bury their fathers or their siblings or their spouses. So it was a difficult call because ordinarily those people would bury their loved ones. And we have not taken it to cousins and to all those. We just kept it at father, mother, sibling, spouse, and so that we keep it very close. There may come a time where it will not be possible. But for now, that was, we were getting calls of people crying on the road, saying, my father passed away, I'm on my way there, I'm being stopped. So it was really, because as we implement all this, we must also be humane. There may come a time where we may have to even restrict it more, but it was just difficult to just say no, cry and go back. But generally, we are not trying to satisfy every citizen because indeed, you are right, it will undermine the very purpose of the shutdown, but beyond the shutdown also, because as long as COVID-19 is raging in our country, we'll have to take certain measures and we'll have to make certain restrictions. The question of food and poor people is really something that government is very seized with, because as you correctly say, food determines how strong your immune system is, besides age and other things. So it's very important that everyone has food. And that's the very reason why in South Africa, even though we are not a rich country, we still give people grants, we give child grants, we give all those so that nobody goes hungry. But where necessary, government also gives food parcels. Social development deals with that a lot, and sometimes municipalities deal with that a lot. So yes, but would also appeal to people who have the means, business people who have the means to donate, even retail shops, big shops, maybe they could donate food so that it can be distributed to those who are poor, so that they can eat well and strengthen their, respond to questions that are coming now on my cell phone.
Okay, let's leave those for now.
Okay.
Let's deal with those that we have had.
Okay.
Minister Ndosi.
No, thanks. Is it incapacity or they are just running on the townships, or they're on the highways, or they're not on highways. The first day, the main complaint the main complaint on the first day is that we send the police in Sentin rather than Alex. That was the first complaint of this lockdown. Because of the long queues in Alex, we had to get police from Sentin. From Sentin to Alex. So that question was killed on the first day, that we only send the police to the African areas or township only. Well, if she's in Gauteng, she's doing a very good thing for not seeing the police on the road, which means she's staying in. She must keep it that way. When you take N1 to Limpopo, we have a permanent roadblock at Carousel before you enter Limpopo. When you go south, I can't remember exactly, but as a debate, there is a permanent roadblock. Where you go, that is N3. When you take N12, we have a permanent 24/7 when you go to Mpumalanga, both on N4 and N12. N4, if you go northwest, we've got a permanent just before you cross the border, inside northwest and inside Gauteng. They're forever doubled those. So to me, it tells me a good story that he stays in. She must just continue that way. That's why she doesn't see this, but they are permanently there, those roadblocks. In most of the time, in both suburbs and townships, we don't have roadblocks. We have patrols in those areas. That's why we have arrested people in both what you would know as a traditionally white suburbs. Hence, we have arrested quite several people in Montclair, in Durban and Westville. We have arrested quite several people in Alex. We have in Soweto and in Khayelitsha, where we patrol and we find people doing the wrong thing, we arrest. Inside those areas, mostly we patrol. The second, police heavy-handed. We have tried to explain this question. I'm briefed all the time by the IPIT on the matters of the police under lockdown. I will request that people that write about these things, they also check their facts, or they wait until the actual facts come. Because the main that has been arrested, the further investigation is on the municipality police, of whom I agree is a member of the South African police. So we're waiting for the final, which will come tomorrow, of a postmortem. Police have been accused of killing somebody in Western Cape. They say it's a beer case. I don't know what was happening with beer. That one, the postmortem has come out, and the postmortem, he said, was killed by the double attack of a heart attack. It's not by the police. The third one, we're waiting for here in Gauteng, we're waiting for, again, the postmortem, and he was found dead. He was arrested. The allegation that was assaulted by the police. There were two in the cell. He was found dead. We're waiting for the postmortem and further investigation. There's one case that I want to make here of one police that has been charged for rape. So this man has been charged for rape. He's a policeman. But what is not said by the media and everybody is that he is a husband of the wife that was raped. So now it looks like he's a police that has got nothing to do, just went to rape. He's a husband, he's arrested, we are glad, but it should have been said also that not just a police, but he's also a husband, because I have not heard before husband explain that he's a pilot husband, he's a doctor husband, he's a taxi driver husband. It's usually we arrest a husband for rape. It has been said, I want to make that point, that it's not just a police that went to the cell or went to the house and raped somebody. He's a husband that raped the wife, and the wife opened the case, and we have arrested that wife. So initially, we had a lot of problem of reports. First 3 days of lockdown, we received 26 complaints of the police, but since then we have received 12 of the police of health, which means they are stabilizing, we're going down, and we are responding to those police. People that break the law, yes, we'll arrest them. But want to make a call to the communities out there themselves to respect the police, to respect the law. As I've said before, that we would not love not to arrest anybody, but if we are forced, we will within the law, police, but also South Africans must learn to respect the law. The last one, how many people are arrested? I did give the figure. The figure is 2,289. This figure ends on 30th midnight from the 27th. Western Cape is 774. Free State is 368. Northern Cape is 290. KZN is 225. JP is 217. Eastern Cape is 184. Northwest, that when this was given, there were 81, but Northwest updated one is 225. Mpumalanga is 81, and Limpopo is 67. Those are the figures of the arrest under the lockdown. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. Yes, Minister Ndaben, I promise.
Thank you, Minister. There was a question on fake news. There's been an email address that has been created, which reads as follows: fakenewsalert@dtps.gov.za. Yeah, it was on. Yeah. So it's that email address, and then the number on WhatsApp, which is 067-664015. What we have done, we've engaged with the platform owners, your Google, your Facebook, and Twitter, to say, as we establish these platforms, immediately when the people send the complaints, and then we forward it to them, and then they take it down within 24 hours, the latest. That's the agreement that has been reached with the platform owners. And we do urge everyone to report fake news. And all those that are spreading fake news, they must know they're not doing good and justice to the people of our country, because they're causing panic. Therefore, we request everybody to cease from doing such. We need South Africa to be a normal country, but if we behave abnormally, we're not going to be able to do that. And we don't want those coming in. Thank you so much.
Minister Mswaledi.
Thank you. I think the question was about, presumably about thousands of South Africans who are stuck at the borders. As we said, the borders remain closed for normal human movement. But what the amendment today is saying, which also appeared in the previous amendment, is that it's difficult to stop a person constitutionally from coming back to their home. We can't say South Africans mustn't come back to their home, but we are putting the regulations to control the conditions under which they'll come through the borders. to come to their home. That's why it says the cabinet member responsible for home affairs or a person designated by him or her may allow the person, which means there must be an arrangement here to allow the person to enter or exit, so that we look at its case according to its own merit, and also to make arrangement that such people must be subject themselves to quarantine. That's why we like to make this arrangement. So it's not just an opening of the borders that people can just come moving in and out. It has to be a special arrangement. Thank you.
Well, I don't know whether there was this question of testing and screening at the border. But I think the question is answered, that anybody who comes in still gets to be subjected, because you are a South African, we have closed the borders. So anyone who comes in, first of all, must have permission to come in, first of all. And secondly, such a person will be subjected to our quarantine laws. As you come in, anybody who comes in gets quarantined. Now, having said that, I saw a hand there that we are now doing the last round, and also Mam Kosazan, you will also answer those questions that came to you. How many are they? So Pendulil. Okay. So that is the last round, so that we are able to go and do these things that we said we are going to do. Can we start with you, madam? I don't know how you came in, but since you are here, we will take you.
I made arrangements. Hi, my name is Isabel. I'm from Netwerk 24 and also the Beeld newspaper. I have a few questions regarding domestic violence and how many arrests have been made and how that situation is managed, because a lot of people are now crammed inside, so that's a problem. And then the other question that I have is and yeah, that's my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take the three. This is the last round, colleagues. We'll take the three, then we'll take your two. Let's take the three first. Who's the first column? Samgel. Ted Kulumaba. Sikuzwile Samkelo i-question yakho, yona sesiyizwile. Thank you. Manje ngiyabona bosawuqhubeka. The next. Nazir? Have we lost that call? The next one? We can hear you. Who are you? Oh, okay, Nazir. We thought we had lost you. Okay, you can ask your question. Thank you very much. Let's take the last one from our system. Mshengo Shabalala, Kuluma Baba. Spirit of Kwerenda Wayne. Ima Mshengo. Can you move away from the mic, please, so that ungayixabuzi ube kudenyana nje kuye. Ngathi kuyazameka. Basically, your question is, should we have looked, well, we have not looked at other modes of transport other than taxis. Is that your question? Why did we not look at other modes of transport? That's your question. No, I'm asking, is that the question? Thank you. We will take that. Those are your last ones now, Sis Nanga. How many do you have there?
Only 2, Minister.
2?
Yes.
Good.
The one is from Olim Gambi from ENCA to the Minister of Cocta. He is asking that the 70% tax... Can I continue?
Go back.
The 70% taxi load comes with drivers handing face masks to passengers, and now there's a reported worldwide shortage of protective gear. How will government meet this demand as it relates to taxis? And there was a question from Water is, now that water is the country... Oh, I don't understand. I think there was a problem here. To the state and
now that water has been centralized.
It's not written properly. Okay. Now that water in the country belongs to the state and is distributed equally and fairly. And our communities which you have identified, and And are there communities which you have identified that will be prioritized? There's also someone who asked the minister to read the number that the central control number that she had alluded to during her speech.
Thank you very much. Those were the last ones. We have taken 3 rounds of questions. I think we have done what we could. We are going to continue to improve our system. At the moment, our system is not that audible. We will try to improve it, but it works. What matters is that it works. It assists us to adhere to physical distancing. So we are quite proud that we are able to do this. My colleagues, who wants to start? Minister Sisulu?
This is not an answer, it's a question that came through for Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. Her cousin has got 6 children, and each one of them has 9 children, and when they are in a family, they are more than 100. So, and she wants to know what she's going to do with that number, as it exceeds the number that is prescribed. Pardon?
Sis Nkosazana, yes, ma'am.
There is a question that says that doctors encourage people with diabetes to exercise, and can we allow them to run? Yes, they can run around the house.
Or in the house.
Or inside the house.
Over.
So yes, please, by all means, exercise. We're not saying you shouldn't exercise. The other question was about, what are there going to be regulations on how to handle the remains of people who have passed away because of COVID-19? The answer is yes. The minister tomorrow or so will be announcing those guidelines of how to handle, when to bury, how to do everything around a person who has passed away because of COVID-19. That is coming tomorrow from the Minister of Health.
Thank you. Minister Sisulu, there was a question on water.
There were 2 questions. One was, have we found a way to regulate how food parcels may be distributed in informal settlements? We're hoping to come back again at the second round of the discussions that we're having now, because for us it is work in progress, and we have been discussing this matter with the Minister of Social Development, but of course there are other ways in which food may be provided for. Then the second question is, what was the second question, by the way?
The number, you must repeat the number.
The number.
Before the number, there was how we were going to...
Since you are now, the government is responsible for water, how are you going to distribute evenly and equitably?
Okay.
I'm paraphrasing.
Thank you. The command center has got video access to all our water boards. We're going to increase this to include all the boards that are responsible for water. So we are able to see where we have enough water for the residents of that particular area. We're able to see where we have excess water, and we're able therefore to request those that have excess water to provide those that do not have. For instance, we have several drought areas in South Africa, and we would want to make sure that they have access to as much water as we have in Gauteng or any other place. So we have the systems in place in the command center, and we have invited journalists to come and see. They will be able to see how we do this. The level of sophistication of the equipment there makes it possible for us to measure how much water we have and where that water is most needed, and we're able to direct that water to where it is most needed. The last question was about the number that I repeat every time I'm with the media, of the toll-free number, which will direct you. It acts as a reception center, and it will direct you to where you might get very direct answers, or it will be responded to in full. It is 0800 200 200. 0800 200 200. And please be patient when you call. We are flooded with calls, and sometimes we're not able to cope. Thank you.
Thank you. And those.
Can I just add on the question of food?
Oh, okay, ma'am.
The councillors, community health workers who are on the ground are the best, because in the war rooms, for instance, they would know who are the child-headed households, where there is no income at all, where there is a granny with many grandchildren and so on. So I think people on the ground, it might be difficult. I think the ministers will give guidelines, but it might be difficult to direct where food should go from national. I think the best place people are the ones on the ground. The other question that we didn't really answer was about children whose parents are divorced. I was at another press conference where Minister Zulu answered this question, and she did say that they are discussing with parents, and parents are saying when there is a problem, and they are helping them. So I think Minister Zulu did answer, but they are in touch with those parents, or those parents can get in touch with social workers if there is a problem that maybe they can't wait until the shutdown. So I think that matter, according to Minister Zulu, is taken care of in that there are discussions, there are counseling, there is help that is given, because it's only a 21 shutdown for now. Thanks.
No, kukhona udaba oluvelile. Konta oluvelile lika 6 times 3 times 9. Uma ingane zakho zo 6 izale zo 9. No want to make point ukuthi kuzobaluleka ukuthi umndeni ubone ukuthi kuyabana ale 50. Don't go beyond 50. Just imagine when you have driven all the way from Guyana to Kokstad, and then you don't see the funeral when you're in Kokstad because you are number 51. So it's important that the families, they deal with this number. The question attached to the child one is a GBV violence. It's serious, no doubt about it. If I'm not mistaken, the last number we received from the report of the Nash Jones is that since it started, 87,000 people have phoned, reporting that there might be a gender violence in the houses. So I wouldn't know how many that one can raise here that was raided and attacked by people that they say they were South African National Defence Force members who were coming to sanitize, and that was Ugogo Zuma. And 2 people have been arrested, one 27-year-old and one 22-year-old. We're chasing for the 3rd one, but that arrest has been made in Pietermaritzburg. So we thank the police for quick action and quick reaction on that matter. But as we all agree, that's why as a South African police ourselves, we have given a number that it can be reported, 0800 150 150, where people they abuse, and so that the special unit, that is FCS, has been jacked up. We've tried to push them at different police stations so that they can act and react quicker when it comes to this. Is one area that we're taking it very serious, the gender-based violence. Samgelo had a good time to count these people. He said there were 250. He spent some time before he could shop. 250, but he should have, I think it did count. That is out of order somewhere. At the present moment, the number we have is 50. And I want to tell you, many shops, they adhere to this number. I went to Wamashu on the first day of the pensions. There was I think a longest queue I have seen Wamashu, but the shop was taking in only 10 people, and then until we agreed with the owner that he will reduce the staff and bring more people, 20. So they did. We went to Inanda, they adhered to the number. We went to Mafeking, they did not adhere to the number. They brought in 100. We went to Rustenburg, they adhered to the number. So far, we have found more people sticking to this number. It's a matter that we are discussing because there is a formula that the Minister of Trade and Industry is coming with. We said that should not be followed until it's discussed, agreed, and put on the regulation if it has been agreed upon. But people cannot begin to use the formulas that have not been agreed upon. So those people that are breaking the law, and they must be treated as such. There are other things that they do. Some of these shops, I've raised it with the minister again, they sell things like the cleaners of the pool and all those kinds of things. I don't think those things are essential if you buy stuff to clean the pool and all. If those people that are found, they'll have to be punished accordingly because they are breaking the rules. That there were no mask and gloves, well, I don't know. But up to this point, we encourage people to do these things. But there is a lot of debate about this mask and the gloves. Yeah, no debate about sanitizer. Absolutely no. But this goes to the complaint, and workers, they do complain about that they're not given this. And if the workers feel that they must get these things, they must get these things. And the management of those particular shops are responsible for that. They have complained in one shop in Limpopo, and they have refused the management, and I'm told the shop is closed by the Minister of Employment, and it's closed. So it's one thing that will have to, but the basic thing here, if people, including workers, they believe that they need it, it must be found and be given, and so that it's their safety if they feel that is safe that way. The Minister of Health in South Africa, Dr. Zweli Mkhize, has encouraged that people use these things. So unless otherwise, other official words come otherwise, we'll encourage that people stick with it, including the workers, including the management that they work with those people that they should provide. Thanks.
Let's start with Minister Patel on one question that was raised on sanitizers.
Thank you very much. Nazir asked the question whether we are taking action where companies, firms or individuals sell sanitizers and sanitizers that are ineffective, that's very often, as he put it, really just water. So I want to make 2 points about it. The one is that if anyone sells a hand sanitizer and it is sold in the context of COVID-19 campaign and it doesn't meet the minimum standards of the alcohol content that the hand sanitizer must have, then it is misrepresentation to consumers. It would be false advertising, it could be false labeling, and they can be prosecuted by the National Consumer Council. We have another body in government that sets standards for different consumer products. In the past, there was no need to set a standard for hand sanitizers. That body is called the National Regulator of Compulsory Specifications. They now getting together to see how can they fast track a standard for hand sanitizers that meets the requirements of the coronavirus. So I think we will be taking more action to ensure that people don't exploit lack of knowledge by consumers and risk the lives of people in the process. But I want to also make the point that while hand sanitizers is very important, as so many health experts and Minister Mkhize has said, if you are able to wash your hands with water and soap, when that is available, and you can wash it for a minimum period, at least 20 seconds, some say a little bit more than 20 seconds, it's even more effective than hand sanitizer. So we use the sanitizer for when we don't have access to water and to soap. If I can just briefly comment on the question that John has raised around custom duties and VAT. Obviously what we're dealing with here and the announcement by SARS is to make sure that we have critical stocks of health goods available here in South Africa, that if we have to import them because we don't make them locally, that they come quickly and we make them available as cheaply as possible. We will constantly be reviewing regulations to ensure that we have the stocks available. In the case of food, we're a big food producer, and the local industry is providing that food. So those are the questions that came up. Thank you.
Thank you, colleague. Mr. Lamola.
I think firstly, the question of the family which is bigger than 50, which has been answered, I can just add to state that it is in the interest of the family that it has that number of less than or 50 people, because you can't have a family of more than 50 people being exposed to the COVID-19. So the leadership of the family must be able to guide, to say it is in the interest of all of us that this number is limited at this level, so that in case there is any kind of exposure, we're able to manage it as a family and see how others can manage. So it is also based, the families must also help government to ensure that these regulations are enforced. The other question that relates to the Muslim funerals, they said that some of them can happen within 5 hours and there could be no death certificate. If you read the regulations, you will see that we have designated senior people, either the magistrates or a senior station commissioner, so that Muslim family can be able to go and present their matter to that station commissioner and the conditions under which Muslim funerals do occur. And I'm sure the police or that senior magistrate will be able to help in that regard. If there's clear, a conclusive evidence of is for that purpose, that they must enable. The purpose is to ensure that there is social distancing. If those are achieved, even within this context of the Muslim unique kind of a circumstance, the senior person will be able to look at it and give guidance to that kind of a family. And lastly, I will want just to stress the issue that this should not be seen as the real implementation. Will be a once-off kind of implementation. It's not going to be an ongoing kind of an implementation. It's somebody people who might be stranded in London or in Brazil or in Mozambique or anywhere who wants to come back to the country. It will not be, we are not going to have the same situation again in 2 weeks. And those foreign nationals who are stranded also here in our country, who already have been our citizens in Wuhan. We cannot now again say we have now another group of citizens. So this is the kind of regime that we are enabling for these regulations to be functional, to be practical, to be responsive to the ongoing challenges that we encounter on a day-to-day basis. Thank you, Mr. Mtimbu.
Minutes past 6. It's now 23 minutes past 8. Because we wanted to impart so that we keep people of South Africa informed under the conditions of the lockdown, what's happening, what's changing, and what are the reasons for any changes that we might be introducing. And of course, we all know, maybe let's repeat this for all South Africans. Once again, we would like to appreciate all those that are doing everything in their power to adhere to the regulations that government has put forward for us to fight this disease. We thank you, each and every one of you. Again, our police, by the way, this is not a police matter. This is a societal matter. This is not a matter of the army. This is a matter of all South Africans wherever we are. As we have said, as the Minister of Health has always said, you get the disease when you go out there and fetch it. But when you stay at home, the likelihood of you contracting this disease is very minimal. We are therefore saying to all South Africans, the President and the government has appealed to all of us to stay at home, except those that need to service us in the medical terrain, in the food security terrain. But in the main, we have been requested that all of us infect ourselves. having said that to my colleagues, thank you. And to people in South Africa, thank you for listening to what we
Please,
had.
no social gatherings. The 50 is for funerals and people who are in the weddings.
No, weddings.
No prize, nothing.
No prize, no shisanyama, and because
Or
again,
after tears, even after
no,
the funeral.
no after tears, because we are saving lives here. This is a mission to save lives. Ma'am Sisol.
Thank you. I think the message is clear, wash your hands, but at the same time, remember we're a water-scarce country, save water. Thank you.
Colleagues, we have now reached the end of our press briefing. We will call you again when it is necessary to speak to you. As we are doing, we will keep you informed of all the steps we are taking. But thank you. This is ours. This is our elephant. Let's work together to defeat this disease. Thank you very much. Good night.